Well, speaking of music, were you always, I mean, growing up, what was it always music for you? Was it always performing? Like, did you ever have an idea of like, hey, maybe I'll go do something else with my life, or were you just always focused right in the beginning?
I have to let my dog out. She's
Oh,
freaking me
that's
out.
fine.
One second. Go. She's like, let me out.
I was gonna say
Weird.
it sounded like a dog or a child. I couldn't tell which it
It
was, but
is
you said your
yeah.
child wasn't home, so
No, it's my dog. She sounds like a dying cat. She goes
I
like
was like, I thought I heard something.
a bird, kind of. She sounds like a bird. She's great though. I love my dog. Anyways, sorry.
That's okay.
Repeat the question.
Growing up, like, was it always music and performing for you, or were there other things you wanted to do with your life?
Yeah, no, I always liked, I was always like in the choir growing up, and I did shows at like the local community theater, but I don't think I ever thought that I was gonna do anything like that with my life. I was like a really sort of brainy kid. I was very introverted, and I was like into computers and video games, and like I wanted to be like a scientist or inventor or something like that. And you know, a couple things happened. One, I did a couple of like specialty summer camps for that sort of thing, and I was like, this is not for me. I don't know if it was the just the they weren't my people, or I just wasn't enjoying myself. And luckily I had people encouraging me and saying that I had something to give as a singer and a performer, and that there was something there that I should explore. And so I was always a singer. That was kind of my main thing. So like I was in choir, and I got a lot of awards and won other competitions and stuff, but it was not, it was like choir music, so. And I didn't love that specifically, and then I sort of came into theater and found musical theater, and decided to go to college for that. And that's also when I fell in love with acting, which I hadn't really known. I thought maybe I could be okay at it, but because I was really good at pretending to do things. But
Right.
I didn't. But I mean, essentially, that's what acting is. You're just pretending. Anybody who tells you that they're like that they've become a character is either a little bit not 100% there, or B, lying to you. You're faking it. And it's just the level and the fun and the sort of, and there's of course, a lot of skill involved and practice and all that stuff. But yeah, I came upon it a little bit later than most, but I'm glad I did.
Well, your first Broadway production was Rock of Ages. I mean, what was that like? Your first Broadway, no matter how big or small the part is, it's still kind of a big deal. Like, what was that
Yeah.
time like in your life?
Oh, Rock of Ages was amazing. I mean, I was only like 2 or 3 years out of college, and I had an agent, but I actually went in for an open call. They do open calls on Broadway, and got a call back for the swing, which is essentially the person that covers all the roles. And if somebody's sick or is on vacation, then you go in, and I got it. I wasn't remotely right for any of the parts, but I was just wrong enough to be right to cover everybody. Like, oh, you could maybe do this or maybe do that. You're like in the middle, so perfect. You can be the guy that can cover all the parts. And so I was really lucky to get something like that pretty quickly in my career, and and had a lot of fun doing it, and then just kind of kept going from there.
I mean, what does the job of a swing do? Like, I mean, how does that work? I mean, I can't even imagine learning the lines for one part. I mean, I did well in school and all that, but still, but I
Yeah.
mean, what you really have to just know every part?
Well, not every part. I mean, a lot of parts. Yeah, I mean, you usually have like in a Broadway show,
Uh,
you have 4 to 5 swings, through between them know all the parts, and so I think I learned like 5 or 6. But I mean, it's stressful at the beginning because you have to cram it all in. But then once you know it all, you're just kind of sitting around waiting. So it's stressful in a different kind of way because you're like, am I gonna get to do it today? The really hard part for me was sitting off stage, and then everybody would come back after intermission and be like, "Oh my God, do you remember what happened? That was crazy." I was like, "What? What happened? I missed it." Things like that. But it was really fun, and the first time the very first time I got to go on for any part was for the lead role, and so my Broadway debut essentially on stage was for the lead role in a show, and it was pretty incredible. So
Wow. Are you a fan of like that type of music, like Pat Benatar and
yeah. Oh yeah, give me some 80s music, man. I mean, it's on a regular rotation on my, Sirius XM radio, and I yeah, no, I'm a big fan of a lot of different genres of music, so I'm not the most picky in that regard. I think if a song is, well constructed, and I'm a really stickler for good lyrics too. So if a song has good lyrics, I don't really care what genre it is. I can usually jam out to it.
do you
I
have
mean,
any
unless the
like
singer's really
I mean, I'm all about the
bad.
80s, but do you have any like current favorites, like of the current crop of people like topping the charts? I mean, I'm not so good with
Oh,
a lot of current
who do
music.
I don't I'm not either. I'm not either. I mean, I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. I like a lot of I always grew up listening to like rock music and alt rock, and so I tend to to veer a little bit more towards that side of things. Um, so I'm I love some Panic at the Disco. I'm trying to think of like bigger bands that people know. I'm always bad at these on the spot interviews things,
Taylor Swift
Muse.
is, I mean, Taylor
Yeah,
Swift
I
is a
mean, I
big
was just
one.
trying to think of like the most recent thing that I really liked. I'm also like a big vocalist fan. So like I love Adele, I love people who are great singers, Bruno Mars, uh uh you know, Ed Sheeran, Sam Smith. Like I like people who have really great voices and can sort of tell stories with just their voice.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, you went on to do a lot in Broadway, Bonnie and Clyde, Newsies. What is it like being nominated for a Tony for Newsies? I mean, that's got to be a career highlight.
Yeah, I mean it was crazy. God, it was so long ago. It was 2012. It was 10 years
Wow.
ago. Uh it was pretty exhilarating, it all happens very fast though. And so like, we had just opened, and then the Tony Board announcements came up, and I was just tired all the time because you're doing press, you're doing 8 shows a week, and then